So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Was Sealed by Batwoman and Catwoman. So let's start the series. It was late at night in Konoha, and the majority of shinobi were looking for the person who had stolen the Forbidden Scroll. Naruto Uzumaki and Irika Yumino had just fought Mizuki, who had initially advised Naruto to steal the Forbidden Scroll in order to graduate. Mizuki also revealed to Naruto that he was a demon and that he contained the Kyuubi. Naruto was now thinking back on his life and came to several realizations. After all the stern looks, the lack of attention from others, and having few or no friends, he decided that he was done with this, finished with the way they treated him, and stopped attempting to be a shinobi. He also gave up on his aim of becoming Hokage. Irika spoke to the blonde who demonstrated his shinobi skills. Naruto, I have something to give you. Irika was surprised that Naruto would not want to be a ninja. If it's a high 8, then I do not want it, Naruto said calmly. Given that it might take some time for Naruto to learn the Kagebushin, Irika clarified, this high 8 is the first step to becoming a ninja. If you don't want it now, then you can wait until the next semester, that way you can hone in your new skills. Hiruzen said to the boy with the blonde hair, hello Naruto, I'm glad to see that you were able to catch the traitor. You do know that catching a traitor means that you can become a ninja, right? Naruto answered, yeah, I am aware of that, but I do not wish to become a shinobi. When Hiruzen saw Naruto holding out 2 scrolls, one with a spiral symbol and the other with 3 curved lines in a circle, he said, why not Naruto? You're almost earning the village's respect. Hiruzen was astounded to see that Naruto was holding those 2 scrolls. Naruto told the 2 shinobi, that's not what my parents wanted, I was supposed to be seen as a hero, not as an outcast. You intend to become a nuke nin Naruto? Irika asked his former pupil. The two were informed by Naruto that, I already told you, I am not becoming a shinobi no matter who you get to try to convince me. Come on Naruto, this is a nice joke but it needs to end soon before some thinks you're serious. I mean the team assignments are not for 2 weeks, you can still be on a team, Hiruzen told Naruto. I'm not laughing, Naruto said in a serious tone. As the 3 of them headed back to the Hokage's tower, Hiruzen stated, let's go back to the Hokage tower, we can discuss more about what caused your thoughts to change. Tower of Hokage. Tonight, the Hokage tower was packed, merely because the council was waiting to hear who had stolen the village's forbidden scroll. Naruto, Irika, and Hiruzen entered the room, and the room fell silent. They managed to find a seat before Hiruzen spoke to the council. Greetings council, I was able to find out who took the forbidden scroll, it was Mizuki. Thanks to the aid of Naruto Uzumaki and Irika Yumino, the 2 were able to stop Mizuki and retrieve the scroll, Hiruzen told the people in the chamber. Danzo looked at Naruto, who remained silent, and added, I think Naruto stole the scroll in the first place. Don't bother him. He hasn't done anything wrong, Hayashi told his fellow council member. A shinobi yelled, except contain the fox who killed our loved ones, before being hauled away by Anbu, proving that Hiruzen's law was still in force. As the council came to a halt, Naruto declared, well, you don't have to worry about me no more because I quit trying to be a shinobi. Some questioned, so you're just going to quit because of a few civilians, as Naruto looked at her. A few civilians, are you kidding me Tsum, you try being the boy with no friends, you try being the person who has to try to gain people's approval, you try going through life being glared at by people you don't even know. Besides being a person without a Keki Genkai or skill is hard, Naruto told the council. What does having a Keki Genkai have to do with your current situation? Shikaku asked. Simple, Konoha has a lot of clans with them and they seem to be popular with the civilians. It's hard being an orphan in a shinobi village seeing as orphans don't have a lot to begin with and have to build themselves up in the public's eye, Naruto stated to the current Nara clan head. I understand, orphans do have to prove to the public they can be trusted, and with you and your certain situation, you weren't able to prove yourself, Inoichi replied in order to make his argument. Naruto told the council, I'm glad you see things my way. In any case, I have to go, so I might see you guys again eventually. Danzu screamed, you're not going anywhere, Naruto. He wasn't going to allow the Jinchuriki simply leave. As he produced another scroll with a red leaf symbol on it, Naruto responded, really now, then let me tell you something, I quit being a shinobi for one, so I don't have to follow what the Hokage or any other ninja tells me. 2. I prepared for this day for the longest, you can say I think 2 steps ahead. As Hamura asked the Jinchuriki, what is that boy? As the council erupted, Naruto said, in the scroll, there is a letter from the fire daimyo saying that I can leave Konoha without going through the council, therefore I can leave. Given that Naruto had some pals his own age, Chusa questioned, we can't have you leave Naruto, what about your friends? Naruto responded to Akamichi by saying, I don't have that many, but I will leave them a letter. Hiruzen questioned the blonde, are you certain there is nothing we can do to ensure you stay in Konoha? Not really, old man, Naruto replied, I will find my purpose eventually. As Naruto grinned and walked out of the tower, Hiruzen remarked in a disappointed voice, then go, Naruto Namikaze, you are excused. The council was once again taken aback by his complete name. Nice job, said a voice in his mind. Thank you, Kyubi. In any case, I'm happy I could get ready for this situation. Naruto reasoned that it was just a question of time. I didn't think you would quit being a shinobi though, I thought we were just going to leave Konoha. The blonde said to Kyubi, when Naruto recalled his mother's letter, he thought, reading my parents' letter really sent me over the edge. It made me realize that ninjas have no honor among themselves. Kyubi inquired, are you going to your parents' house? I plan on sleeping there tonight, Naruto thought. He made his way to his parents' house, which was in the clan district of Konoha. He was able to find his parents' house. It was pretty big to say the least, it was about 2 stories overall. He walked past the gate and walked on the stone path towards the front door. He noticed that the door was locked. He remembered his parents say something about a blood seal. He pricked his finger and wiped the blood on the doorknob. The door opened and Naruto walked in. The inside of the house looked great. The walls had a nice blue and white color pattern. He walked around the house just to explore it for about 30 minutes. He went to his parents' room, which was upstairs. He noticed that their bedroom was painted a nice shade of green. He also noticed the crib in the room. It made him happy to know that his parents were ready for him. He walked to the closet in there and noticed that there was cloths in them. He tried a few on and learned they fit on him. He picked some of the cloths in the ceiling scroll. Hey, he might not be a shinobi, but there were a few skills that he could use. He then worked on the letters to his closest friends. It took him most of the night, but he finished them. All of the letters were sealed and addressed to the people he cared for. He finally went to sleep, hoping that tomorrow would be a better day. The following day, it was morning in Konoha, and Naruto was prepared to face whatever the village had in store for him. He got up and showered, and then he changed into a black pair of pants, a white muscle shirt, a black vest, and black boots. He then proceeded to his parents' scroll vault, took everything out of it, and sealed it in a single, enormous scroll. The blonde asked Kyubi, what's in the huge scroll? 10 scrolls, including 4 with money, 2 taijutsu scrolls, 1 kenjutsu scroll, 1 fuinjutsu scroll, a genjutsu scroll, and a ninjutsu scroll, Naruto pondered. As Kyubi questioned her container, are you going to destroy this place? When Naruto entered the living room, he thought, what, no, I'm going to reactivate the security seals. I don't want anyone stepping on my property. His father had mentioned that the security seal switch was hidden behind a spiral picture. He located it and channeled chakra into it. The seal glowed red, indicating that it had been reactivated and that if you weren't Naruto, you were in serious trouble. Not wanting their container to be damaged, Kyuubi questioned, wouldn't the explosive seals harm you when you walk out? Naruto pondered as he checked to make sure he had everything before heading to the door. Since my chakra reactivated them, they won't hurt me. If I had to bring a guest, I would channel my chakra into where the seals are outside to deactivate them. As Naruto left the house, Kyuubi replied, well, let's go. He had a hunch that he would return to it eventually. He was now strolling down the street, heading to Ichiraku's for breakfast as usual, when he noticed that people were staring at him. Some were pleased that he was leaving, while others, both ninjas and civilians, were upset that he was Minato Namake's son and was leaving the village. He arrived at Ichiraku's, and he sat on his usual stool. The smell of their ramen must have been one of the things he missed the most. Ayam said, "Good morning, Naruto," as she emerged from the kitchen. Naruto bowed and added, "Hey sis, I guess you heard that I found out who my parents were, huh?" Tsuchi Ichiraku was the next to appear. "Don't think I'm going to treat you any different, Naruto Uzumaki," said another. As Tsuchi went to place the order and Ayam remained up front to speak with Naruto, Naruto responded, "Glad to hear it, old man. Now give me one of everything, I might as well enjoy it." "So what are you going to do seeing as you're leaving the village?" Ayam questioned. "I'll find something to do, trust me," Naruto answered. Ayam threatened the person she perceived as a younger brother, saying, "It better be legal because if not then you're going to get it." As Tsuchi brought out his dinner, Naruto said, "Don't worry, sis. I'll be doing something really productive once I find it." Naruto ate the food slowly, truly enjoying the tastes, and finished eating 30 minutes later. As he gave the two an envelope, Naruto said, "Thank you Ayam, old man Tsuchi. It really means a lot that you care for me." "What's this, Naruto?" Tsuchi inquired, staring bewilderedly at the envelope. "It's a letter I wrote to each of you, there is a check in there as well," Naruto answered. Ayam begged, "I really don't want you to leave, Naruto," and then she hugged him. Naruto looked Ayam in the eye and remarked, "I know Ayam, but it's just the fact that I'm tired of being ignored." "Ayam, let Naruto go, I can tell he will be successful in no matter what he does, just promise us that you come back to Ichiraku's ramen and eat one day," Tsuchi stated to the blonde Namikaze. Naruto said, "Don't worry, old man. I'll believe that," as Ayam released him. Ayam resolutely stated, "You better Naruto or else I will come and find you." It was difficult to leave the people he considered to be his sister and uncle, but Naruto responded, "I will believe me," as he left Ayam and Tsuchi. He made the decision to visit the Hokage at that moment. Hopefully, Hiruzen could call the others who have not received their letter and speak with them in the Hokage Tower instead of in public. Tower of Hokage. After telling the Hokage who he wanted to see and instructing him to call them there, Naruto arrived at the Hokage Tower. A short while later, all 6 of his closest friends were present. Tenten said, "Naruto, what's going on?" Naruto knew Tenten since he used to shop at her parents' store. Naruto declared, "I'm leaving Konoha," to the surprise of his comrades. Rock Lee, who had previously taken classes with Naruto, remarked, "Why would you leave, Naruto? I mean, you failed this year's exams, but you can still become a shinobi next year." One of Naruto's reasons for departing was, I just detest what shinobi call honor, and I don't want to be a shinobi Lee. Shikamaru responded, I see your point Naruto, seeing as most shinobi don't have honor, since shinobi tended to play dirty but samurai were famed for their honor. Sai and Naruto used to live in the same orphanage together. Just make sure you come back Naruto, I want you to see my newest artwork, Sai said as Naruto nodded. Naruto told his pals, as you can see, I just want to find a new purpose in life, away from this village so that I can find myself. Kiba remarked, it's cool, Naruto. Just stay safe, as Akamaru jumped on top of Naruto's head and briefly licked his face before stopping. To which Naruto answered, I will Kiba, and Akamichi giving them food signified that they truly trusted them. Shikamaru and the Hokage were astonished when Choji stated, well if you're leaving then here, while handing Naruto a bag of chips. Naruto handed them their letters, still having a few left. Thanks for the food, Choji. Here guys, I each wrote you a letter and left you guys something in there as well. I will try to stay in touch with you guys, he said. Hiruzen saw that the letters were addressed to their code names. Naruto replied, here old timer, this is for a few of your Umbun ninjas who had my back since I could remember. Naruto nodded as Hiruzen questioned, you do know that dog retired right? I know that, have both dog and you read it, it's 2-letter in one envelope, Naruto said. As Akamaru sprang from Naruto's head and returned to Kiba's head, Hiruzen said, anyway, Naruto, I hope you have a safe trip and become successful in whatever you do. Before heading out of the tower and into the village gate, Naruto remarked, don't worry guys, old man, I will. He presented the guards the letter and was permitted to depart without incident. After a week, when Naruto reached Wave Country, he was able to get a boat ride so that he could enter the town. He saw that a bridge was being built, and he wanted to meet the person who was building such a large bridge. He asked Kaji, who was transporting him across the ocean, that it was Tazuna, a person who had a dream to free the wave from their tyrant Gato. They arrived at the shore, where Naruto gave Kaji some money and thanked him for the trip. Kaji was pleased that he was able to get paid and left. Naruto was walking around the entire town and saw how depressed the people were, and he wanted to see them happy again, and see this town prosper once more. He kept walking until he came across an elderly man, and based on his attire, assumed that this was Tazuna. Naruto questioned the individual, are you Tazuna the bridge builder? The individual answered with a query of his own, and what if I am? Naruto said the man, I just wanted to talk to you. Based on what Kaji said, you look like him. Tazuna questioned the young man, well I am, are you trying to work for me boy? Naruto questioned the bridge builder, I could use the experience, when do you think I can start? Tazuna replied, any day you can make it, we stopped for the day. Naruto asked the elderly guy, can you give me about a month before I start? Tazuna said, of course you can, just knowing that you want to help me means a lot, I suggest you find a place to sleep, it's late, while checking his watch. After leaving the bridge builder, Naruto said, I will see you in a month then and thanks for the advice. He was walking through a forest when he came across a house that appeared to be more of a manor than anything else. He began walking up the path and saw a sign with the letters WM on it, which appeared to belong on a gate. When he finally reached the double doors, he opened them and was astounded by how large the house was on the inside and outside. Kyubi said, Naruto, attracting Naruto's attention. Yes, Kyubi, Naruto thought as he continued to stroll around the manor. He saw that everything was fine except for the flowers and vines that appeared to be growing, but he could take care of that. In fact, if you gave him a month or so, he could have this place operational. I believe we should explore this place more. I have a feeling that there is more to this place than it leads on, Kyubi commented. I couldn't agree more, Kyubi. Naruto continued to walk around and was now looking at a grandfather clock that was in working order. He realized the time was off and went to adjust it, but it was 10:47 when he heard the sound of gears turning. The grandfather clock shifted to the side as though it were a door. Naruto looked down at the darkness and thought, I guess this is what you were talking about, huh? Even I do not know what is down there. I suggest you proceed with caution, Kyubi said. Looking at the darkness, Naruto thought, I will. He decided to descend the stairs, not knowing what was on them, and after a few steps he heard a noise. He was prepared for whatever it was, and it turned out to be bats. They appeared to live down here because it was nice and dark. Naruto saw that he had reached the last step, and when the cave lit up, he saw a giant US penny and a giant Joker card. The two came to an understanding whereby Naruto permitted Kyubi to see, hear, taste, and smell what he had experienced. I take it this person had too much money, Kyubi remarked. When Naruto looked around and saw the various suits and gadgets in their own display case, he thought, this place looks like a museum if anything else. He chose to sit in front of a large screen, and after he did, the screen came to life. Naruto was fascinated by what he saw, until a person with spiky black hair, wearing a black jacket and black pants, and a blue shirt underneath the jacket, appeared on the screen. My name is Bruce Wayne. I was the owner of Wayne Industries. I was also the Batman. Now if you may not know who the Batman was, then let me inform you, the Batman was a symbol. He was a person who would protect the innocent and bring those to justice. That was me, a person who put on this uniform and fought crime. Now I may not know who you are, but I do trust that you must have some luck finding the Batcave. I want to train you into becoming the next Batman because no matter where you are, the world will always need a Batman. I have uploaded multiple files on my Bat computer. There are multiple videos that show my fighting style as well as how to repair mechanical items as well as how to make a bat suit. I have also uploaded my greatest enemies as well as my allies. Hopefully I have given you some hope as well as a brighter future, Bruce Wayne explained as the video stopped playing. Kyubi said, wow, it looks like you hit the jackpot with this one. Unaware of the amount of effort he was going to do, Naruto thought, the next Batman, how hard can it be? Kyubi proposed, I think we should examine some more of these files he uploaded on this Bat computer. Reading never hurts. He stayed up that night learning how to use the Bat computer to its fullest potential, not going to sleep until he understood how to use it. I want to learn more about the stuff they used during his time and then move on to the training part, Naruto thought as he practiced using the computer a few times. I mean, the hospitals have computers, but none like this. The following day, around 10 in the morning, Naruto pulled out a bag of chips that Choji had given him and ate them. He made the decision that today would be the day he worked himself to the bone. He clicked on a file called Beginner's Training. The video began with Bruce standing upright in a black GI, and Naruto followed suit. I hope you are ready for your month of training. Do not worry, by the time we are done you will have mastered the entire beginner's training as well as some of the intermediate moves depending on whose training you want, Bruce said Naruto. Naruto nodded when Kyubi stated, Naruto, I want to advise you that you still have those taijutsu and kenjutsu scrolls your parents gave you. As he began to mimic Bruce's moves, Naruto thought, I'll practice those too, since Bruce's training might take a while to master. After a month, Naruto can confidently state that he felt stronger, faster, and even smarter. He learned a lot from Bruce and his parents over the past month, and even though he knew that this was only the beginning of his training, it was still amazing. He also took the time to read several books on modern technology from when Bruce was still alive, and he visited Tazuna and his family during this month before beginning work at the bridge. Kyubi inquired, "Naruto, it has been a month, right?" While examining some of Batman's most notable villains, Naruto thought, "Yeah, I think Tazuna mentioned hiring ninjas from Konoha or something like that. The majority of them were amazing." Kyubi told Naruto, "Well, how about you just show those ninjas whose boss they are? Although I would love to show those shinobi, I won't be able to put on the bat suit for another 3 months since I don't yet have enough devices or armor plating. The Batmobile itself appears to take me another year or so to construct because I lack the necessary metal," Naruto replied. Kyubi proposed, "How about you change your identity for the time being?" "I could, but who else could?" Naruto was thinking as he looked at a file he had never seen before. He double-clicked on it, and it opened, displaying the person's photo and bio. This individual would do, Naruto thought, grinning. The blonde nodded in agreement when Kyubi added, "In fact, it appears that he didn't use many technologically advanced tools. We can use chakra to power his suit. Yes, there is a lot less metal and technology than Batman's suit, which appears to have been designed for speed. I had hoped to use chakra for Batman's suit, but he has too many electrically powered components, and it appears that this suit requires a power source for the blast attacks." Naruto thought as he clicked on a video that showed this person in action. Kyubi said, "Let's go for it," as Naruto stopped the video and rose from his seat. He then proceeded to the location of the suits and began his search. "Let's see, besides the Nightwing suit, should be right here," Naruto thought as he examined the suit. It was primarily black, with the only armor on the forearms, knees, and shins, as well as the mask. Naruto read that the previous power source was dangerous, and the suit's red X on the chest caught his attention. He assumed that's how he got his name. Naruto put the suit on and discovered that it fit, and he began channeling chakra into it. At first, nothing happened, but a few seconds later, the suit came to life. He saw that the H, U, and D were blue, and that the XS on his palm were glowing red. While Naruto was launching a few chakra beams from his palm, Kyubi inquired, "How's the suit?" As Naruto took up the staff, he thought, "I'm glad I brought my own shurikens and smoke bombs. I was even able to find one of Robin's bow staffs laying around that was able to work." Kyubi remarked, "Well, Naruto, it's time to go," as Naruto approached a former Batcave exit that now leads up to a waterfall. Judging from the way the exit was constructed, he had to assume it was for the Batmobile or the Batboat. He reached the door, which opened as he entered and closed as he exited. He took a deep breath and was relieved to be outside. As Naruto looked about, Kyubi remarked, "Fresh air, feels great, sounds like the fog is rolling in." "Time to kill a pig," Naruto declared, signaling the beginning of the Bat's age. Red X decided to follow the group from a distance after noticing that Tazuna was with a few ninjas, more specifically, a few Konoha ninjas, as he was now heading to the town. Since the suit required him to compress his chakra in order to power it, Red X was able to conceal the majority of his chakra. Red X used the digital binoculars that Robin had built into the Red X suit to see who was watching over Tazuna. He simply needed to channel chakra into the suit's eyes to activate the binoculars, and he saw that it was 3 of his old academy school friends, Sasuke Uchiha, Sai, and Sakura Haruno, and the 4th was the dog Umbu, who had been put in charge of watching over him when he was younger. Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu, Kenjutsu, Genjutsu, and some ninjutsu. Red X thought to himself, you only really need taijutsu and kenjutsu to survive, but the others are good. You don't really need flashy ninjutsu to win. When he saw Sai throw a kunai at a bush, startling the group, Sai approached the bush and extracted a white bunny. Sakura yelled at Sai, calling him foolish for attempting to kill a poor bunny. Red X thought, it's time to find out who used it. He heard a sound that caught his attention and saw a huge Zanbuto sail toward the group of Konoha ninjas, who ducked just in time. The Zanbuto struck a tree a few feet in front of them. He heard Zabuza explain his purpose to the group before he gave them some hand signals. He saw that a mist was forming and that his binoculars were blocked. Fortunately, Robin and the other suit owner upgraded this suit several times before they both passed away. He wished this suit had the detective mode that Batman's suit had, but Robin gave it several eye upgrades. As he brought his right hand to the corner of his right eye, Naruto thought, I doubt it was Zabuza who switched with the bunny. Let's use the infrared to find this person. He pressed the button there as the H, U, and D vision switched from binoculars to infrared, and he saw that he could see heat signatures with this feature. While witnessing infrared for the first time, Kyubi remarked, reading and seeing are two different things, huh? As Naruto kept his gaze on the ninja group, he thought, you bet it is. I wonder why we don't have this technology. Well, when you have Keki Genkais, this type of stuff becomes outdated, Kyubi replied. Ninjas, Naruto thought as he carried on searching. He began to glance into the trees opposite from him and saw that someone was observing the battle. Another person, Kyubi murmured upon observing the individual. As he got to his feet, Naruto thought, well, let's see what they're all about. Didn't Robin put a teleporter on this suit? I know it only works short distances, but since you're using chakra to power the suit, then maybe you can make it longer, offered Kyubi. It's time to find out, Naruto thought, directing more chakra into the suit. When he saw the words, teleporter activated, his H, U, and D returned. Kyubi remarked, I guess you're in control of the teleporter, as Naruto vanished in a flash and then reappeared a few steps behind this newcomer. Naruto thought, I need to work on this when I get back home, as he was too far away from the individual. Kyubi asked, are you going to kill them, to the blonde? As Naruto approached the individual, he thought, you know I don't kill unless I have to. The person turned around and saw that someone wearing a mask was standing just behind them. The individual asked, who are you? And he saw that they were dressed as hunter ninjas for the mist and had on a hunter's mask. Name's Red X, how about you? Red X inquired in an attempt to carry on the discussion. A calm voice answered, I am a hunter trying to capture my target. Red X repeated the question, why are you a ninja? The respondent said, because it's something I want to do. Red X inquired, what do you think about the wave situation? The hunter responded, unsure of the direction of the conversation, I feel as though this could be a great country if Gato wasn't ruling it. What makes you ask that? Red X responded, well, I was just wanted your opinion, as the two saw Zabuza had now crashed into a tree. As they left Red X, the hunter said, that's my target. Now, if you don't mind, I have to leave. Red X watched as the hunter took Zabuza's body and left Tazuna and the Leaf Ninjas. Naruto thought to himself, someone lied. The fox utilized Naruto's ears to listen to her responses, while Kyubi focused on the hunter ninja's heartbeat while they answered the questions. The whole hunter ninja act was fake, but their answer was truthful, Kyubi responded. They were probably working for Gato. Zabuza did mention that he was employed by someone, and who else but Gato? Naruto reasoned that if Tazuna completed the bridge, his entire scheme would fail. He also saw that the mist was moving out of the area. Let's go get some information. You should go to a bar or restaurant, they have a lot of people there you can question, Kyubi said. Red X thought, I'll go to the bar, as he began to move in the direction of the Low Tide Bar and Restaurant, Wave's Soul Bar and Restaurant. Low Tide Bar and Grill. The only source of income in Wave Village was the bar and grill. According to Tazuna, the owner had made a deal with Gato. He was unsure of what Gato had said to the owner, but it must have been something positive because the bar and grill building was one of the better maintained structures. The building itself had 2 floors, the main floor, where the bar and grill were located, and the first floor, where the owner kept the majority of their money in a safe. Tazuna claimed that the owner had constructed a room so they could live at the bar and grill. As he was hiding behind the bar and grill, Naruto thought to himself, I could use the back door, but then I have to deal with the cook seeing me. No way I'm going through the front door. I would use that tree climbing technique, but if there are shinobi in there and they sense me using chakra, I don't want to draw attention to myself. He saw that the first floor had a few windows and a few branches that led towards the windows. Naruto thought to himself, I found a way in, I am so happy Red X was a thief. He began climbing the tree using the tree climbing technique and proceeded to the branch that led to the window, only to discover that there was a yard between the branch and the window. I say jump it and balance yourself on the window ledge, sure it's a shot but it's worth it, Kyubi remarked. Naruto thought, I have no choice, and he went back into the tree to get some speed. He sprinted quickly toward the end of the branch, jumped, and managed to land on the window sill. A number of possibilities appeared on the H, U, and D screens as Naruto channeled his chakra into his right palm. Now let's see if I channel my chakra into my right palm, a few options should come up, he thought. So many options, X-shaped blades, X-shaped explosives, X-shaped constricting restraints. I think you want the X-shaped glass cutter, Kyubi remarked. The X-beam is a default attack. If I recall Grayson's video correctly, I would have to tap my palms several times until my H-U-D highlighted the object I wanted to use. Naruto thought as he pressed his palms 6 times with his thumb. The glass cutter was selected inside the H-U-D, and the right-hand screen select disappeared. As he placed his palm against the glass and directed his chakra into the red X on his palm, Naruto thought, let's see if this works. The X blazed crimson when he saw that the window had a crimson X. When Kyubi said, turn the X, Naruto turned it and saw that the glass was being cut until he had completed a half circle. He then pulled his hand in, causing the cut glass to accompany it. Naruto saw that the glass he had cut was not only in a circle, but that his hand could also fit and open the window, so he opened the window and let himself in. As Naruto reinserted the tiny circle into the window's opening to make it appear as though nothing was there, Kyubi said, good, you're in. Now put the cut glass back into the window, I know they would be on to something if we didn't. Naruto repeatedly pressed both palms until the words, X blades, appeared on the H-U-D. Naruto thought, it's never too safe. As he began to move around the room, he was relieved that his shoes had some sort of padding that made his footsteps quiet no matter what he stepped on. Red X kept moving until he came to the door leading to the hallway. He made the decision to go to the door to find out how many rooms were upstairs, so he opened it and left. He counted 3 other doors in addition to this one. Kyubi remarked, we must have been in the owner's bedroom, I suppose we should enter the private room. Naruto continued walking toward the door and overheard some individuals discussing Gato and their plans to exact revenge. Red X made the decision to introduce himself as soon as he entered the room and saw that there were 5 people there, 2 women and 3 men. Who are you? A man with brown eyes and spiky hair asked. He was dressed in blue shorts, a blue vest, a white shirt, and blue sandals. Caillou was Gato's previous shipping manager, and he was aware with the routes and stops of Gato's ships. Red X said, a person who hates Gato, as the two women motioned for him to take a seat between them. She was Gato's previous financial manager, so she knew how much money Gato had and where he kept it. My name is Umi, said a woman with long blue hair, green eyes, and a white top and black leggings and 2-inch heels. My name is Tsuchi, the second male said. Based on what Red X could see, Tsuchi had some muscle, was bald but wearing a casa, had brown eyes and a beard, and was dressed in black shorts, a white shirt, a black vest, and black sandals. He had a pair of swords on his back and had previously served as Gato's bodyguard, so he was familiar with Gato's associates. The third person said, my name is Kasai. He was Gato's former architect and had gray eyes and short red hair that reached his shoulders. He was dressed in black trousers, a blue shirt, black sandals, and a blue vest. My name is Reiku, the second woman said. She was Gato's former records keeper, and she had blue eyes and short blonde hair that framed her face and reached her shoulders. She was dressed in black slacks, a yellow top, a black jacket, and black sandals. Red X became alert when he heard the door open. He turned to see a woman enter, wearing black pants, a white sleeveless shirt, and black sandals. She was the owner of this bar and grill and Gato's former advisor. She had green eyes and long white hair that reached her mid-back. Tsuchi told the owner, Hey Sukai, this guy says he wants to take down Gato. Observing the vacant seat between Umi and Reiku, Sukai replied, Really now, go on and sit between Umi and Reiku. Red X responded, You don't have to tell me twice, as he made his way to the chair. He also saw that all three of the women had attractive curves. Kyubi told her container, Naruto, stay focused. As Naruto sat down between the two women, he thought, I'm jealous, Kyubi. Kyubi boasted about her shape in response, saying, I'm jealous of them. You're a very funny kid, but I know my body is better. Naruto pondered before concentrating on the current discussion, I haven't seen you in your human form, anyway I have to pay attention right now so I'll talk to you later. Sukai asked the guy wearing the mask, so why do you want to take out Gato? Simple, I believe Wave is being held back by him and I want it to change, Red X responded. Caillou stated, that is true, we never had anyone besides Kazai who stood up to Gato, pointing out that Kazai passed away while attempting to do so. Red X told the group, I know I can get rid of him, I just need to know where his base is in Wave and I can go from there. The masked individual nodded and Umi responded, I hope you know that Bitter X employees do have a lot of information. Red X inquired, you all worked for Gato before, as each of them described their role for Gato prior to his dismissal. Red X questioned the group, I take it you guys were proficient while you worked for him? We've worked for him since he started, we were all 18 at the time and decided that the shipping paid good money, we all were able to get jobs that we loved to do, Tsuchi stated, beginning the discourse. We were the best people he had, not to boast or noting but even some of Gato's associates wanted to hire us because we were that good, Reiku replied. But that was 9 years ago, now look at us, we were discarded by that short pint pig, Kasai snarled as she finished. Red X questioned the group once more, what if you had the opportunity to do what you loved every day? Sukai stated, I would be very happy, because she enjoyed her work prior to Gato firing us. Well, I do know a friend of mine who is trying to open his own business, He says that he wants to start the main company in Wave and have multiple branch companies across the entire elemental nations. Now the head of this whole operation is 13 years old, but he knows his stuff when it comes to doing business. Red X clarified as he observed everyone taking in the data. You did say if being a ninja didn't work out you would have been one fine businessman, Kyubi said. Naruto reflected on his time with Iam and Tucci and stated, I thank you for that one. They even said they were going to let me run the shop with them if I were to become a civilian. I would just go on the supply runs. I want to meet this kid in person and test his knowledge by giving him a written test to see if he really knows his stuff, Caillou said. Red X said, I assume this test will be challenging. Of course it will be. Us six will each have written a section of the test, and if this guy aces the test then we will give this company a shot, Omi said. When Gato did that, Tsuchi replied, just as long as he does not do anything illegal like sell drugs or keep slaves, because he detested it. Red X answered from the bottom of his heart, my friend hates me who rape women as well as keep them as slaves. He believes that women should be treated equal no matter what. Sounds great. Now what is your name, seeing as you know ours, Masked-san? Reiku responded. To the adults who nodded, Red X said, you can call me Red X. I just want you to know that there will be more masked people like me working with you guys in order to make a better tomorrow. Kasai inquired, will you hire more civilians as well? Red X responded, of course, this will be a business for civilians. Red X scowled at Tsuchi and Tsukai as they both inquired simultaneously, what about Shinobi? As the two nodded in accord, Red X questioned, I take it you two were ex-ninjas? We both worked for the Mist Village before the Keki Genkai massacre. I hope that us being ex-shinobi doesn't change anything, Tsukai responded. It won't. My friend only hates the shinobi lifestyle, seeing as there is no honor among them. He doesn't hate those who are shinobi. I do warn you, he does dislike a few people in Konoha. From what he told me is that he was treated by being ignored by the majority of the village, Red X clarified. Caillou inquired, so when can we meet your employer? Red X told the other six, who agreed, he should be here tomorrow afternoon, after Gato is handed over to the village by yours truly. So how do you plan on getting into Gato's hideout? Tsukai responded, I planned on asking you guys to assist me into getting into Gato's hideout, seeing as Kasai built it himself, Red X responded. I do have the plans for it, Kasai said, presenting Red X with a scroll that said, Gato's hideout. Red X looked over it and said, this is all I need, before rolling it back up. Umi pleaded with Red X, who agreed, please bring Gato down. Don't worry, I will, Red X said resolutely before pressing the X on his belt and disappearing. Tsuchi told his pals, I think the kid will finish the job. Did you hear that determination in his voice? They nodded in accord. Reiku added, I'm glad you sent him up, Tsukai, to her companion, who was now wearing a puzzled expression. Tsukai retorted, I didn't see him come in, I thought he came in with you guys. Caillou remarked, Red X is a powerful person, as the six-person group resumed discussing what life would be like without Gato. Using Red X, after teleporting out of the room, he found himself on the roof of the bar and grill. He then proceeded to the Batcave entrance, which he had recreated. He approached the waterfall and passed through it. There was a keypad beneath a rock, and he entered the code to open the wall. He then entered the Batcave and proceeded to the Bat computer, where he removed his mask. I'm glad the information gathering went well, Kyubi said Naruto. As Naruto began to pull up Red X's file on the Bat computer, he clicked on a file named Xenothium. As he began to read the file, he noticed that Grayson felt that the Xenothium could be manipulated and could do what the user wanted it to do. It was, but I still need to get used to using more of the gadgets on this suit. The teleporter worked, but I overshot what I was aiming for. I bet that one of these videos shows how Grayson manipulated his power source. QB continued, the same goes with your chakra. I believe that you only need to practice with the suit until you're comfortable wearing it, and Naruto nodded. I couldn't agree more, QB, Naruto thought as he put on the Red X mask again and began practicing wearing the suit. He decided to sneak into Gato's base at midnight, giving him 9 hours to practice wearing the suit and upload Kasai's blueprints onto it. Since it was getting close to 8 o'clock, Naruto made the decision to visit Tazuna while wearing his Red X suit. With Konoha Shinobi over, QB inquired, "Are you sure you want to visit Tazuna in this attire?" "That's right, in addition to having a solid backstory, so I'm protected," Naruto thought as he left the cave and headed for Tazuna's house. The home of Tazuna. When Red X got to Tazuna's house, he smelled that Tsunami had just finished preparing dinner. He knocked on the door and waited for someone to open it. Tazuna came to the door and opened it, and Red X entered after dodging 2 kunai that were aimed at him from either side. Red X used his X blades and aimed them at both of their necks, shocking the 2 genin with the blades on his gloves. Joking with the group, Red X questioned, "Is this how you welcome everyone?" With the hope that it wasn't one of Gato's hired hands removing him, Tazuna asked the man in the mask, "Who are you?" Red X revealed to the gang, "I work for Naruto Uzumaki," and they were all startled to learn that he was Naruto's employee. Sakura questioned the masked individual, "Why would you work for Naruto?" Naruto quite being a ninja. "I know he quite being a ninja and I don't blame him for that, as for why I work for him is because of the fact that we had similar goals," Red X told the group. Kakashi sat at the table with his crutches put up on the table and inquired, "And what might that be?" Red X spoke to the masked ninja, "We want to free the Wave Village. Hey, what is your name?" "I need you to pass a message on to Naruto," Tazuna said. "If it's about him working at the bridge, he said he'll come tomorrow afternoon," replied Red X. Tazuna responded, "That's good to know then," and expressed his happiness that another employee will be starting tomorrow. "Why would a loser like Naruto work on a bridge? I mean, from what I hear is that he is the son of a yondaime, so why would a person from a clan full of ninjas work as though he is a civilian?" Sasuke chided Naruto. Red X made fun of the Uchiha's Sharingan by stating, "Unlike you, Naruto knows what it means to work at something until it's perfected, unlike someone's clan." As the 2 red blades on his neck began to press on his skin, Sasuke questioned, "And who do you think you are?" Red X responded to the Uchiha by saying, "A person with your life in his hands, seeing as you and your friend in the black have their necks on my blades." In an attempt to defuse the tension, Kakashi said, "There is no need for needless violence at this time." Tsunami said, "Would you like something to eat?" and Red X nodded. Red X explained his reason for leaving, saying, "Sure, but I need to take it back to my place. Not that I don't like you, Tazuna, or Inari, it's just that I don't have time to sit and eat." Sai questioned the masked individual, who was still holding his blade to his throat, "How do you know their names?" Red X said, recalling his X blades, "Naruto told me about them, how else would I know where they live," as Tsunami handed him a sack containing his lunch. Red X saw a black rat on the ground and decided it was time to depart, pressing the X on his utility belt. Red X used the teleporter to leave the house and remarked, "Well kids, I have to go kids, remember X marks the spot." Since Tazuna's house was close to his estate, Red X appeared a short distance from the waterfall. Naruto thought, "It's time to go eat and get Gato," as he passed through the waterfall entrance and sat at the Bat computer to finish his meal. He then added some smoke and flash bombs to his utility belt, which he had made a few days prior, and he also grabbed some of his homemade sleeping bombs in case things got out of hand. It was now 11:55, and Naruto chose to read one final section about the suit, which he knew would be useful. I say we use it as a last resort, there's no telling how much power that feature drains. Besides you're already great at stealth, no need to become a ghost, Kyubi commented following his reading of the feature. Although the invisibility feature is fantastic, Naruto considered wearing the suit one last time because he wanted to use his X-beam soon. As the clock on Naruto's H, U, and D reached midnight, Kyubi remarked, "Well, it's time." Naruto then exited the waterfall and used his suit's voice commands to access Kasai's plans before beginning his journey to the Gado's base. Gado's retreat. The house itself was surrounded by trees, with several lookout houses perched atop the trees. He also noticed a large gate that encircled the house, and he recognized that the house led to the ocean, which he assumed was where the shipping components came in. Overall, he thought the place was small, but it felt like a jail. While examining the various towers, Naruto reflected, Gado's watchtowers are set up in a pentagon shape with me facing the one that is in the middle. Kasai's designs were spot on. Take out the one in the middle and I guess we can work from there, advised Kyubi. It's time to go to work, Naruto thought as he began to run up the tree. When he reached the ledge of their tree house, he stopped running. To compare Gado's tree houses to the security towers from Batman Arkham Asylum, the only difference is that the leaves cover them. Naruto noticed that two guards were seated in the tree house facing the tower. Gado was clever, he constructed the tree houses and covered them with the leaves of the trees, giving them a natural appearance. The inside of the trees is hollow, allowing the guards to ascend the internal ladder, Naruto pondered. Observing the light via Naruto's eyes, Kyubi remarked, "These guards are stupid, they left their lights on." As he climbed the tree's ledge, Naruto thought, time to take them out. Still carrying the art of surprise, he picked one of his sleeping pellets and flung it into the room, where the two guards felt sleepiness take over before they fell asleep. After Kyubi said, "Two down," Naruto picked up the two bodies and placed them a few yards from the tower. He tied them up in case they attempted to flee. Naruto then returned to the tree house and began looking around for anything helpful. He came across a piece of paper that he knew would be helpful. Guard schedules for the inside of the house. Oh yes, this will do, Red X thought to himself as he read the schedules. He saw that the guards had to stand outside two rooms, one of which was Gado's and the other, he assumed, was Zabuza's. He also saw that they changed posts every half an hour. Kyubi remarked, that Hunter and Zabuza's room must be. As he proceeded to study the schedule, Naruto reasoned that based on who was watching over Gado and Zabuza's quarters, they must be armed. Kyubi proposed, maybe you could have those two join you, because allies were strong. As he began placing explosive excess in the tower, Naruto thought, I'll give it some thought. The explosives were timed. As he repeated his procedure for the next 4 towers, Naruto thought, I got those set. Time for the next tower. He now had all 10 guards gagged and bound in a tree, yards from the explosion that would take place later. When Naruto leaped from the guard tower to the gate, he thought, good thing this tower is close to Gado's gate. He landed without incident, and after falling from the gate, he found himself in Gado's maze garden. It's never easy, Naruto thought as he began his journey through the maze until he noticed a light a few feet away. If only Kasai's plan had included how to get around the maze. When Naruto jumped on top of a maze wall and started to walk towards the light, he thought, one of the guards must have a map. When he saw that it was one of Gato's men with a flashlight, he stopped. Naruto saw the person walk back the way he came, so he knelt down and approached him. A few seconds later, the person was knocked out and was lying on the ground. Naruto checked his pockets and discovered a map of the maze. For some reason, it appears that Gato has guards at the maze. According to this guy's notes on the map, Gato has something coming in this morning, but he won't get it. Naruto thought as he used Kasai's notes to locate a basement door. He found it without any issues, and it turned out that the door was unlocked, making it simple for him to pass through. The basement. Gato had a large basement, and Naruto observed several boxes and cages below. He went to one of the cages and saw that there were humans inside. Red X said, "Wake up," as he noticed several individuals stirring. Another person working for Gato, a woman from the cage, murmured in contempt. As he used his X-blades to cut the locks on the cage doors, which were now open, Red X said, "My name is Red X and there is no way in hell I would work for Gato. I guess you can call me a hero of some sort, anyway watch out." Naruto saw that all of the cage doors were female and between the ages of 13 and 30. Red X handed a map to a woman in her early 30s and explained, "Okay, now I want you guys to go through this door which will lead you outside. Take this map to get through the garden maze, from there on go through the gate door and after you pass that you should be able to get into the town." Another woman said, "Thank you Red X, I just don't know what to say," as she was at a loss for words. Red X stated, "You guys can go and leave Gato to me," as the group of women were exiting the cellar, leaving Naruto and many containers behind. While Naruto located a crowbar and used it to open the crate, Kyubi said, "Let's see what's in the crates." Red X declared, "Swords," as he opened other crates and discovered more weapons. Kyubi guessed what Gato's plan was and added, "I guess Gato was preparing to kill everyone with wave with this arsenal. Too bad he won't get that chance," Naruto thought as he started to make his move upstairs. He was at the door which lead to the dining room. He pressed his ear against the door so that he could hear if anyone was coming. He heard no noise so he made his move. He opened and closed the door quick and started to make his way to the stairs. If his guard schedule was right then no one guarded the stairs. He heard a few footsteps and knew that the guards must have switched spots. He knew he had to find a place to hide. He ran up the wall until he was able to hang from the ceiling. Due to his foot hitting a painting the guards ran towards the spot where he once was. The two looked around for a few minutes until they came to the conclusion that no one was there. The guards left to go to their post. Naruto decided to stay on the ceiling and walk towards the stairs. Once there he dropped from the ceiling and started to walk up the stairs. Once he was at the top of the stairs he looked down the halls before he started to walk. Alright, Gato's room is on the western side of this base. It's time to give him a hard blow. Naruto believed he was now on the west side of the base, using his map to determine that Gato's room was at the end of the hall. When he saw the two guards, he knew he had to remove them because they believed he was working with Zabuza. Naruto could smell the sake emanating from him and his companion, so one guard said, "I take it you work for that Zabuza guy, right?" "I just might, why?" Red X asked the two inebriated men. According to the second guard, because the boss says he is going to kill Zabuza and his masked pal. Red X told the guards, "Oh really now," because he was now paying attention to the present discussion. The first guard stated, "Yeah, Gato always kills any ninjas who work for him, because Gato did so to avoid paying them." The two were asked by Red X, "So where is Zabuza?" The second guard, who wasn't really sure where Zabuza was, said, "I think he lives in a tree base or something like that." Red X inquired, "So what's in the other guarded room," as Zabuza and his friend weren't there. Using air quotes around top guards, the first guard remarked, "Oh, that room, he keeps all of his money in there and has his top guards posted there." Red X asked the two guards who nodded, "I take it these guards are pushovers." The second guard said with a hint of pride, "Of course they are, they're all muscle and no brains, now we're always in charge of guarding Gato." Red X said, "I have to thank you for the information," as his palms began to flush. "Nice color," said the first guard. Red X murmured, "Go to sleep," stunned the two with the lightning in his hands. It was time to meet the boss, Naruto thought as he entered the room and noticed another door. He assumed it was a closet door, but that wasn't important because he saw his target, who was now asleep. Red X said, "Wake up call," as he struck Gato in the face. The man was awake because of the severe agony in his face. Fearful of this disguised individual, Gato screamed, "What are you doing here?" "Guards." Red X told the businessman, "They're on vacation right now, but I'll be happy to take their calls." Gato pointed to the door and said, "What do you want from me?" "If it's money, I have a lot behind that door." As Red X said, "I don't want your money, Gato, I want justice for the Wave Village," Gato burst out laughing. In response to the masked man, Gato said, "Justice? What are you, a hero of some sort? Let's face it, you guys are extinct from this world and replaced by shinobi." Red X responded, "You can call this a comeback then," as he went to get the rope he had observed. As he was pressed against a wall, Gato asked, "What are you going to do with that?" Red X responded, "Tying up some loose ends," while tying Gato up. Gato explained, "My men are on their way now as we speak." When I backed into the wall I set off an alarm, as the door to his room opened and two large, muscular men, the Sekiden twins, who reminded Naruto of Punch and Judy, the Joker's hired hand, entered the room. They were both wearing black pants, black muscle shirts, black sandals, and black gloves, and they both had tan skin, brown eyes, and no hair. Red X exclaimed, "Oh joy," his sarcasm oozing from his lips. Gato yelled, "Kill him," as Red X grabbed him. Red X, with one of his X-blades at Gato's throat, threatened, "Don't move or else he dies." One of the twins, Kuro, stated, "We're supposed to move, that's what the boss wants us to do." Aoi, the second twin, stated, "See, if we don't follow what the boss wants then we don't get paid," as he began to approach Gato. Gato responded to the twins, "Aoi, Kuro, don't do anything, just do as he says." The masked individual nodded when Aoi inquired, "So are you our boss now?" The two stood there as though they hadn't heard Red X say, "Yes, I am." "Now I want you two to go in the other room and bag the money, after that meet me at the docks." As they started to bag the money, Gato angrily exclaimed, "The green paper you two." Red X dragged him to the docks. Docks. Gato's guards first questioned the two, but Naruto was able to come up with a reason to explain that there was a medium-sized boat at the docks as well, and the Sekiden twins were heading to the docks. Aoi reported, "Here's all the money boss," while he and his brother were each carrying 4 enormous bags. Red X responded, "Load them on the boat for me," and the brothers did exactly that as the boat was already full. Red X said, "Now you two are going to check out an explosion which should happen in a few seconds, since Naruto's explosives were scheduled to detonate in 90 seconds. As the twins prepared to assault Naruto, Gato yelled, "No they are not, you two work for me again, now get him." Naruto tossed Gato onto the boat, but he managed to avoid an Aoi punch just in time. With his hands on his explosives, Red X declared, "I really don't have time for this." The timer was set for 40 seconds when he performed a front flip over the two and struck them on the head while a red X was on the back of their heads. Red X thought, time to move before the fireworks go off, as he began to flee from the two pursuing twins. He knew that if they caught him, he would be dead. Time's up, Red X declared as the watchtowers exploded one after the other, and the heads of Aoi and Kuro exploded as well. Naruto felt nauseous after killing two people simultaneously for the first time. Kyubi responded, "You can weep later," because they currently had anything to do. As Naruto boarded the boat, he thought, "You're right, Wave is about to get their justice." He also saw that Gato was attempting to flee. Red X said, "Don't do that," as Gato halted his motion. Gato questioned the guy wearing the mask, "What are you going to do to me?" "Like I said, justice," Red X replied as he launched the boat and proceeded to the bridge across Tazuna. While they managed to reach the bridge without any issues, Naruto docked the boat beneath it halfway there. Gato complained to the person wearing the mask, "Why are we here?" Naruto slapped Gato with a pressure point, forcing him to fall asleep, saying, "I can't take your voice anymore." Red X said, "Now we wait," as he made the decision to obtain some sort of rest himself. Wave Country, Bridge of Tazuna. It was morning in the Wave Village. Tazuna, his family, and the Konoha ninja were all on the bridge. They had heard from several individuals that Gato had been captured by a masked individual. Holding Red X to his word, Kasai stated, "Red X said he was going to have Gato here." Sasuke said to the group, "You believed that fool." As Red X teleported on the bridge with Gato wrapped up, the people of Wave applauded to see the source of their suffering restrained. This forced Gato to awaken from his slumber. "Well, Sasuke, I keep my word," Red X responded. Gato questioned the crowd, "What are all you people doing here?" "They're here to get their justice for your crimes against Wave," responded Red X. Gato reasoned with the people in front of him, "I saved them from themselves, I didn't commit any crimes against this village, and they wouldn't know what to do with the power to have one of the most powerful shipping industries, they would lose themselves to the money." Many of them gave him a disgusted look. As the townspeople took Gato's body and proceeded to punish him, Red X clarified, "While that happened to you, I believe it won't happen to them, so in other words, the people of Wave decide your punishment." Tazuna said, "Thank you Red X, for everything," to the Wave hero. 2 miles away from the bridge, Red X used his teleporter to vanish. "No problem at all, just make sure you do 2 things, 1 thank Naruto for having me come out here, 2 finish this bridge and give Wave a new start," he replied. The waterfall's entrance. After reaching the waterfall's entrance, Naruto activated the button, entered his Batcave, and proceeded to the bed he had prepared inside. Kyubi remarked, "Get some sleep, you had a long night," as Naruto removed the Red X costume and went to sleep. Country of Wave, noon. Bruce claimed that Naruto used to wear these suits to meetings because he preferred them to the kimono he used to wear. Naruto was now in the village and was going to meet Tazuna at the bridge. Tazuna saw him approaching and went to meet him. Naruto was happy to get some rest and was dressed in black pants, a blue button shirt, a black jacket, and black shoes. Tazuna said, "Naruto, my boy, I just want to thank you for everything you've done," but the blonde dismissed it. As Naruto responded, "No problem Tazuna, I try to help when I can." As Kasai walked up to Naruto, Tazuna stated, "Red X said he worked for you so I have to thank you." The blonde nodded when Kasai inquired, "Red X works for you right?" "I take it you're Kasai, Red X told me about him meeting you guys," said Naruto. Kasai remarked, "That's good to hear." Kasai shook his head in response to Naruto's question, "So I'm supposed to take a test or something?" Tsuchi responded, not at all, as he, Umi, Tsukai, Reiku, and Kaiyu went up to Naruto. The blonde was told by Umi, we are ready to work for you. Tazuna questioned the group, where were you guys when I needed help on the bridge? They are here now Tazuna, and that's what matters. Now Tazuna, I know you have a supplier who gives you metal for the bridge. I need to talk to him or her and at least get in contact with them, Naruto told the contractor. Tazuna inquired, what are you planning on building? Naruto remarked, my own industries. I was thinking Spiral Industries, as he heard a laugh. Sakura remarked, Spiral really, when he observed Team 7 on the bridge. He noted that Kakashi was using crutches as a result of his altercation with Zabuza. Naruto responded to the ninjas, I thought you went home already. Kakashi responded, we have to wait until the bridge is built, while using crutches. Naruto responded, in other words, you're waiting until you're healed, and Kakashi nodded. Tazuna responded, I'll have the person contact you, as the hunting ninja materialized on the bridge. Pointing to the hunting ninja, Sakura yelled, if it isn't Zabuza's partner. The hunter ninja asked the group, why are you guys shinobi again? It took you that long to realize I worked with Zabuza. Threatening the ninja, Sasuke said, you should leave the bridge now before I beat you to the ground. Sakura heard a moan of disdain and thought, Sasuke is so cool. Sakura heard a voice in her brain say, when will you get over this phase, Sasuke isn't that great. Sakura thought as she returned to thinking about her and Sasuke, shows what you know. Inner Sakura thought, I hope someone will get me out of here. Maybe that Red X guy can. When the hunter ninja pointed to Sai and said, not with your Jonin sensei hopping on one leg at the moment, the only person who is a threat is the one wearing all black, Sakura was taken aback. Since Sasuke was the final Uchiha, Sakura took it upon herself to clarify why the hunter ninja was mistaken. Sakura boasted about Sasuke, saying, Sai only uses stupid drawing techniques, while Sasuke Uchiha's knowledge of fire-style jutsus are amazing. Maybe I should accept that Danzo guy's offer, but I think he might just use me. I hope I can speak with Naruto before we depart, Sai thought, hoping to see his friend again. I hope I can switch teams soon. After all, what kind of ninja divulges their teammates' techniques? Haku, Kakashi, and Naruto all thought, she just gave away some of their techniques, and I can't believe she is a kunoichi. Anyway, I am not here to kill Tazuna, I am here to talk to Naruto, Haku explained. Me? Naruto asked, pointing to himself as the hunter ninja's eyebrow arched in frustration. Yes, you, Haku said, Zabuza-sama wants to talk to you. Both Haku and Naruto flinched when Sakura said, why would you want to talk to a guy who quit being a ninja? If anything, you should come to the Leaf Village. Sakura was about to reply when her sensei, Kakashi, interrupted her. Sorry, but I wasn't talking to a wannabe Kunoichi, Haku said icily, causing Sakura's face to flush with shame and rage. Sakura was shocked to learn that her sensei was supporting the hunting ninja. Please, Sakura, do not get into things that don't concern you or our village, she said. Alright, I'll meet with Zabuza then, Naruto replied. I'm getting too distracted here. Haku turned around to allow Naruto to follow her. Well, if you would follow me then we can be on our way, she said. Naruto said, I'll meet with everyone later, as he trailed behind Haku. The hiding place of Zabuza. As they continued their stroll, Naruto and Haku were able to learn more about one another through their conversations. Their trek ended when they got to a large tree. Haku said, we're here, while Naruto gazed at the tree. Naruto deadpanned, so you guys live in a tree. Haku sadly said, the life of a missing nin, as she infused the tree with chakra. The tree parted to reveal a set of stairs. When they reached the top of the tree, Naruto observed how large the interior was. "Follow me, please, Naruto," the two said as they ascended the stairs. Naruto remarked, "You guys have 4 rooms," while examining the doors. When Naruto heard the voice say, "One for everyone," he turned to see Zabuza and the demon brothers, Gozu and Meizu. As Naruto recalled the bingo book page about the demon brothers, Gozu retorted, "Even if it's not much, we have to make sure everyone has a space." Asking the gathering, "So how many people live here?" Meizu said, "Just us 4, instead." "I noticed, but why am I here?" Naruto responded, "Because you agreed you'll meet them, idiot." Zabuza folded his arms across his chest and grinned broadly at Naruto. "There was a rumor that someone was able to get into Wayne Manor and fix it. We wanted to know if it was you," he said. Naruto asked the ninja, "Would it really matter if I lived there?" "Actually it does, simply because we would want to work for you," Haku said. Naruto said, "Why would you want to work for me?" "Due to the fact that Bruce Wayne was able to work with Batman," Gozu responded. "You want to work with Batman?" asked Naruto, perplexed. Zabuza continued, "Of course, Batman was a symbol of hope during times before the Shinobi Wars, and I want to bring that hope back to Kiri. That's why I want to talk to you," with a hint of gravel in his voice. "What to do in this situation? I mean, I do need a team and these guys would be perfect. At the same time I need to know if I can trust them if I reveal my identity." Kyubi responded on his behalf, saying, "You did say you would think about it. I say let them join. I suppose I could allow them to enter the manor but not the Bat Cave." "That sounds wonderful, but we need them to fit in. After all, business will suffer if people notice that you work with missing means. It would be fantastic if they dressed up. That way, I'll have more field agents and nobody will be able to identify them." Naruto made up his mind at that moment and smiled to himself. Naruto stated in a calm voice, "Okay, I'll have you guys work for me. I was the one who got into Wayne Manor. I have jobs for you but I need to know what you guys are great at." Zabuza responded with a distant glance, trying to see if he had missed anything. "Well, I'm good with Kenjutsu and interrogation. Haku has a Hayaton Keki Genkai but is also good at hunting, stealth, and weaponry. Gozu has an affinity for fire, and Meizu seems to be great in taking orders and seeing that they are done," he said. "Haku, what is your gender?" "The cloths you wearing hide your figure," said Naruto. "I am a female, Naruto. I meant to tell you earlier when we were talking," Haku responded. As he left Zabuza's hiding place, Naruto responded, "That's good. Now please, go to Wayne Manor in about an hour and I'll have Red X meet you there. He will show you your jobs." We're doing good so far. If Naruto was able to access the Bat Cave like the rumors state, we may be able to get suits like the Batman, Zabuza laughed. Gozu inquired, "What kind of suits, boss?" "Well, Batman had a lot of villains he captured. They say he was able to recreate their costumes and preserve them. If that's true then we may be able to vanish from this world," Gozu said to Zabuza. When Meizu realized what Zabuza was saying, he said, "So these suits will be our alter identities then?" Zabuza nodded. "We'll be different people altogether wearing those costumes," answered Zabuza. Meizu said, "We might even get out of the bingo book if we were to vanish altogether," while the group pondered how wonderful it would be to live a life free from attacks. Bat Cave. Back at the Bat Cave, Naruto was currently reviewing files on the Bat computer, wondering who would be who. He had a few files open on the computer from which he was selecting. In order for the Bat computer to measure their body dimensions and ensure that the suits fit them appropriately, we will need to have them visit the Bat cave and enter that body structure machine. As Naruto examined the information on Huntress, Batgirl, and Catwoman, he thought, that's true. As he typed the word freeze, several links with the word appeared on the screen. Naruto clicked on the first one, which showed a picture of a person in a black and blue costume. He noticed that the person's upper torso was frozen and that their eyes were red. Let's see, Catwoman is out, possibly a huntress because she is a good hunter, possibly a Batgirl. Wait, she has an Ice Keki Genkai. According to Kyubi, that should do. Naruto said, well, let me go change into something appropriate, as he donned the Red X costume. Manor, Wayne. After arriving to Wayne Manor, Zabuza and his squad were astounded by the size and concealment of the property. Red X said, welcome, as he leaped from the roof to their location. So you're Red X? Asked Zabuza. Red X responded, yes, I am, and I need you to follow me, and led them to the front of a grandfather clock. Gozu asked, we're going to talk here? Red X entered 1047 and said, not at all. The grandfather clock shifted to the side, and Red X began to descend the steps. As the gang followed him, Red X asked, are you guys coming or what? They noticed that the lights were turning on and that bats were beginning to fly as they continued to walk down. This might be the Bat Cave. As they reached a platform featuring the bat emblem, Zabuza pondered. Red X said, welcome to the Bat Cave, while everyone was glancing about. Haku remarked in amazement as he surveyed the room's contents, I never thought a place like this exists. Red X pointed to a circular platform and said, well, it does. Now, I want you guys to go one by one onto the green platform over there. What will this do? Inquired Meizu. Red X responded, it will allow me to find the perfect suit for you, as Zabuza was the first to enter the platform. Green energy encompassed Zabuza's body until it subsided, and then Zabuza exited the platform. Red X said, okay then, next person please, as Meizu went first, Gozu came next, and Haku came last. Now then, as you know I am wearing a costume that Naruto gave me, the platform was able to measure your body structure so that I can modify the costumes to fit you. You will only be able to go into the Bat Cave when I give you permission, alright. I still do not trust you yet, so you'll have to earn it. As you can see, the Wayne Manor is huge and you can stay here if you want to. Naruto went into town to take care of some business, so he should be back, Red X said sternly. These are your alter egos. Haku will take on the role as MS, Freeze, Meizu will take on the role of number 1 who works for Black Mask, Zabuza will be Black Mask, while Gozu will become Firefly, Red X said while clicking a button. Zabuza inquired, so when do we get our suits? Red X gestured to the clothing that Black Mask and number 1 wore and said, you and Meizu can pick up your costumes and armor now. Black Mask's suit was a one-size suit while number 1's was mostly armor. The two picked up their costumes. You'll be performing missions under these attires, you'll answer to your codename when you are out on the field. Zabuza is in charge of getting information, interrogation, and taking out these so-called ninja organizations that are popping up. Meizu's your second in command. You two will need to hire men to work for you, so I suggest you hire some loyal people, maybe go to the mist. Gozu will be our scouter, he will be in charge of looking over this village to see if there are any threats. Haku will be a hired mercenary with me as well. Red X looked at everybody in the room to see if they got it. They all nodded in recognition. With a spooky smile, Zabuza answered, I have no problems with my job. Me neither, in fact it sounds good, Gozu said with a noisy laugh. I might be able to use my fire affinity. Meizu said, I agree, this number 1 guy sounds like me. sporting his own sly smile. Haku questioned the warrior in front of her, "What missions are we going to go on, Red X?" Red X said icily, "I have to wait until I get them." Zabuza said, "Well, I'm taking a room upstairs," yawning. Meizu pipped up, "I'll stay in the hideout." Gozu sighed, "I'll go with my brother." The brother's actions caused Haku to perspire. "I'll stay here," he said. As the group ascended the stairs again, Red X stated, "Okay, so the rooms are in the eastern wing, and the kitchen is on the main floor." Haku took this chance to speak with Red X. "Red X? Is it possible if I could learn more about my person?" Haku asked, taking a big breath. Red X said, "Sure, I'll be down here to monitor you," while demonstrating how Haku used the Batcomputer. Haku gained a lot of knowledge about Mr. Freeze. It was late at night, and Haku was now dozing off in the Batcomputer chair. Red X moved her bridal gown into an open space. As Naruto located a room for her, he thought, "I can't believe she was able to hide her figure with these baggy cloths." As Naruto removed his disguise and fell asleep, Kyubi said, "Get some sleep, Naruto. Tomorrow you have to meet with Tazuna on the bridge." The following day, since Naruto and Tazuna didn't have a set time for their meeting, Tazuna saw Naruto and greeted him at the bridge early in the morning in Wave Village. Tazuna exclaimed joyfully, "Hey Naruto! I have my supplier on their way now," as Naruto noticed a woman with brown eyes and short black hair, dressed in black pants, a white blouse, and black sandals. She held a clipboard with several documents on it. In a stern, businesslike manner, Kame responded, "Good morning, Naruto-san. My name is Kame. You mentioned that you are interested in using my business." Naruto answered in a calm, relaxed tone, "Yes, I am. I need a lot of iron, metal, and men looking for work." As Naruto produced several sheets of paper with designs on them, Kame grinned and said, "I can do all that, no problem. What do you have in mind?" Kame raised an eyebrow and said, "This is going to cost you a lot of money. Are you sure you want my people to build you a new hospital as well as your building?" As she completed the arithmetic, Naruto grinned and said, "Yes, I do. I have enough money for it, so it'll be no problem. Heck, total up the numbers and I'll pay you half now and half later." Naruto looked at the amount and said, "That's not a lot of money." He had assumed it would be higher, but that would only account for around 30% of the money he had stolen from Gato. After reading the documentation carefully and ensuring that there were no gaps, Naruto signed the documents, saying, "Well, Naruto, my men are here right now, so if we sign this paperwork we can start today." This was a clean and healthy business. Kame smiled and added, "We'll start building right away." She clicked her pen and put her belongings away. "You're building a hospital here?" Tazuna questioned, trembling at the blonde businessman. "I believe the old one needs an upgrade, and once my business brings in people then there's no telling what we can do to Wave Tazuna," Naruto said with a grin. Tazuna inquired, "What does your business do anyway?" Naruto answered, "We're trying to build a better tomorrow." The elderly man Tazuna gave Naruto a firm backslap and said, "Well kid," adding, "If my men continue at this pace, the bridge should be up in 2 days." Tazuna grinned back at him. After 2 days, the Leaf Ninjas were relieved that the bridge was up and they could finally return home once noon had arrived for Wave Village. Kakashi had recovered and was able to travel without the use of crutches, but he had to take it easy for a bit. Like a man, Tazuna shook Kakashi's hand and said, "Again, thank you Leaf Ninjas for protecting me." Kakashi grinned at the elderly man and said, "Anytime Tazuna, this was a great way for my team to get the experience they needed, just as long as you remember to pay us later. Tazuna said, "Don't worry, I will." Sasuke grinned when he didn't see his old classmate, saying, "Seems like the dead last ran away." Sasuke was incensed by Naruto's remark, "Unlike you, I've been productive," as he entered the scene. Sakura said, "Like you could have a business, you'll probably run it to the ground," after several wave villagers became enraged by her remark. Sai put on a false smile and said, "Forehead, as Ino would call you, please, shut it, I do not want harm to come to us due to your mouth." Kakashi responded, "I would listen to him. Sakura, we'll take our leave now," as the gang departed. With a frown, Tsunami said, "Good to see them gone, I swear the pink-haired girl is annoying." After a few moments of silence, Naruto stated, "Well, I have to go, I have stuff to look after," and he departed from the gathering. Inari asked, "Did you tell him we named the bridge after him?" "He left before I could tell him, sure enough he'll see the plaque," Tazuna said. After a month, the village itself had completely changed from when Gato was in charge. Red X was on a branch in the forest that overlooked the village, and he couldn't help but watch Kame's men working on his building, which was about 50% finished. The economy of Wave Village was booming, new people were moving into the area, new businesses were opening, and the villagers seemed to have been reborn. A voice cried, "Naruto," and Red X turned to see a woman with blue eyes, snow-white hair, a white face mask, and a black blouse that fit her body. She was wearing black gloves, white greaves, and white gauntlets. This woman was Ms. Freeze. After a month, when he could now trust Zabuza, Haku, Meizu, and Gozu, Naruto said, "Yes, Haku." Haku was able to use her ice manipulation skills to turn her hair white, and she also picked up some new freezing skills from watching videos on Mr. Freeze. "We have a mission from one of Zabuza's friends," Haku replied. Black Mask now had a few contacts in the shinobi world, not many, but impressive for a newcomer, so he opened the mission scroll and read what it contained. Naruto closed the scroll and tossed it back to her, saying, "Looks like we're heading to Kaminari no Kuni, they seem to be having trouble with a couple of thieves." Haku said, "Kaminari no Kuni, that's pretty far from here," as she grasped the scroll. Naruto grinned and said, "We can take the boat Gato gave me." "You mean the one you stole?" Haku shot back, grinning as well. As Naruto descended the tree with Haku in tow, he responded, "I'm a thief/hero, alright." As they entered the Batcave through the waterfall entrance, Haku laughed and said, "Well, let's get to work then, thief. I still want to know what you did with the money you stole from Gato." They changed into their regular clothes, with Naruto wearing his black and blue business suit and Haku wearing a blue skirt, blue sandals, and a white blouse. Her hair was down, and they both carried a bag and a briefcase, which held their costumes and regular clothing for the trip. Because of the blood seals Zabuza placed on them, only they were able to open the briefcase. Haku inquired, "So where is the boat?" Naruto responded, "It's by the docks. I've been working on the boat ever since Tazuna talked about customizing the ships for the harbor," as he and Haku approached the freshly constructed boat. The boat was medium in size, with a white and blue paint job and a spiral on either side. It had 2 sleeping rooms in its lower section. "Nice boat," said Haku. Naruto responded, "It has another feature," as the two got aboard the boat. The boat came to life as Naruto inserted the key into the ignition. Naruto nodded as Haku said, "You changed the engine." "If I remember, this engine was an old model," with wonder on her face. "I had Tsuchi and Kame help me out with this project. They told me about chakra crystals in which a person pumps chakra into them and uses it for their own use, most of the time people use chakra crystals to store chakra into weapons they make. I took that idea and applied it to the engine. This engine is powered by chakra. The key I used to start the boat uses its own chakra to power the engine. I also made an autopilot feature for the ship. There are a few more things I did to this boat, but I'll reveal them when the time's right, Naruto said while grabbing the steering wheel. Naruto pressed the accelerator as the two set out for Kaminari without Kuni. Well, let's go.